No, I'm gonna check for menuing right now. Oh no. Oh, I guess I have a new something in here. Yeah, I mean, I am just gonna double check, but it looks like I menued. I don't even have to. I don't even have any skills to learn. I don't have any points to spend. I don't have any titles to clear. Yeah. However, I will give you some solace. You might be able to sneak food in if there's a submission I want to do. I don't remember if there is or not. Ah, there is. I need to go back and do the Fire God's Magatama. So, you know what's happening? Oh, do you know the story already? Oh. Oh, like I know what's happening. Not, I mean, like I know what's happening. Subtle difference. The adventures of Majaman is ... friend. Yeah, you probably don't need to use the word friend there. You don't know what his problem is? Spirit Stone corruption. That's what his problem is. Just like everybody's problem in these two games. Spirit Stone's bad. Don't fuck with them. I have a feeling we will have to fight and kill him at some point, yes. Wow. Dark Realm to the left of me, Dark Realm to the right. Here I am, stuck in the middle with Kodama. Sniffed out that delicious, tasty bait they laid out there for me. Oh. Oh shit, I'm using the... Oh, you motherfucker. I was using the wrong kind of arrows. Hello, monkey. Oh. We have. Hello, monkey. Goodbye, monkey. Oh, didn't see her. Oh, you know what I just realized? I'm way above the recommended level for this, so I'm pretty sure I'm gonna just like kind of roll right through it. I don't think it's gonna provide much of a challenge. Because I was supposed to do this submission 2 regions ago. So this hopefully will not be that difficult. I was like, boy, everything sure is dying really fast. That's weird. Oh, it's you, isn't it? He's the one holding this realm hostage. Well, I have bad news for him. It's called lightning balls. Fuck you, dude. Double fuck you. Now you may use my power. Dude, there are some of these guys I would fight, but they're low level, so... I'm not gonna. Akatsuchi's Magatama. Wait, mission complete? Oh no. Oh shit, I didn't realize. What about the other area? Why is this still blue? Well, as the saying goes, that was easy. Dude, I didn't get to, like, explore at all. Oh, wait, was this the other... There's a whole other chest in here. Look at this. Was it maybe in, like, a random chest? You just had to, like, explore around and find it? Maybe that's how it worked. How the hell? Well, this was the other way that we could have come. I can't fall in that giant... I can't fall at all. Can you just, like, not fall when the level's over? They're just like, no, it would be a horrible tragedy if the player accidentally killed themselves now when the mission's complete. But before the mission's complete, well, it's fucking fair game. Yeah, I can't fall off anything. Oh, just kidding. Fell off that. I can't fall off most things. I know you can fall off of some of these ledges normally. You can just drop right down. Everything's fine. There it is. Was it worth it? Was it worth me going back and running all over the place and looking? No, not particularly. Did I do it anyway? Yeah. That was easy. Watching your FF count up while playing all and give myself first time on stream. Gotta say, love your channel points late. Yeah, great, thanks. Glad you're enjoying. Which one are you on? Also, welcome to the stream. That one's done. So I think it's just main mission time. Moving on. Moving on and moving up. I doubt I found anything good. You're up to 7. Can't wait to get to the 13s. Haven't played 13.2 since release. Okay, well maybe don't watch my playthroughs of those games if you're excited for them, because I'll just be honest. I didn't much care for either of the sequels to 13. I like 13 a lot still, but 13.2 and 13.3, in my opinion, are not particularly strong entries in the series, and I'm not afraid to talk about that while I play them. So fair warning. Fair warning. I'm pretty critical of those games. Although I will say that I think I liked Lightning Returns just a tiny bit more than 13.2. But that's because 13.2 pisses me off, so its entire existence makes me angry. There's a decent reason you haven't played it in so long. Yeah. Yeah, I somehow I got the true ending of that game, and that's enough for me. I don't have any reason to go back. Even in a world where I was like a dedicated completionist and like seeking platinum trophies, I would not go back to that video game to get the platinum. Partially because I know what's involved in the plat, and partially because I just didn't enjoy playing that game very much. Which is such a bummer. I feel like they could have done a lot of things. You're interested in the DLC of 13.2? Yeah, and I ended up not actually doing the DLC of 13.2 because I was kind of like pretty ready to be done playing both of those sequel games, and I hadn't even started Lightning Returns yet. So I just kind of was like, oh, there's DLC, cool, and then didn't do it. Also, I think because I would have had to buy it separate, and I kind of decided that I didn't feel like it was worth spending the money on. But if you already have it, you'll have to let me know what you think of it. I have been told both that the DLC is important and not important. So you got platinum on 13.2. It's the only game you had for. Yeah, I mean, hey, that's a perfectly good reason to platinum a game that you would not normally platinum, is if it's like, well, this is just the thing that I'm playing right now. That definitely happens. So let's do this main mission. What do we gotta do? The Hideyoshi army with yokai in tow has suddenly appeared near the capital. It looks like Tokichiro's raised himself quite a force, and by the sounds of it, Akechi's troops have beaten a hasty retreat from their engagement out in the western territories. If the rumors of this grand reversal are to be believed, then it looks like a frenzied battle lies in store. Anyway, if we're going to avenge Lord Nobunaga, this chaos provides us the perfect chance. Let's head there and fast. 10-2, you love the gameplay, you'll never platinum that game. Yeah, I don't even love the gameplay in it, but I would never platinum it because I cannot. The characters and the story is insufferable, and I cannot stand that video game. I enjoy. That's probably not going to go well for them. I love any Final Fantasy game with the job system. More or less, like, absolutely some. I love. It's a shame to me that more Final Fantasy games do not have a job system. I do not think that the Dress Sphere system in 10.2 suffices enough as a job system to be considered one. I would consider it to be much more of like a Proto 13 system, which is also not a job system. And I can't. It enrages me. And it's so close to being interesting and cool, but it's confounding and stupid and ends up just being really blah, and I hate it. So, that being said, I love the implementation in 13. I think 13's battle system is great. I just think that 10.2 didn't have it really all figured out yet, and I still don't know how that battle system works, and honestly, I don't really want to know. I never understood the different grids and, like, slotting the dresses into them and, like, switching between them. Like, that to me is not a job system. That's some... It skews much closer to the paradigms in 13. So... But I love 3, 5... Oh, I aggroed an enemy on accident. 12... not the Zodiac Age. The original 12 with the license board can fuck off forever. That shit sucks. Yeah, 10.2 is definitely prototype 13. Yeah, totally agree. And like I said, I mean, I'm not saying you can't like it. I'm not even saying it's really that bad. I just don't think... A, I wouldn't call it a job system, and B, I don't think it's really that good. I know people use that as, like, the defense for why people should play 10.2. It's like, yeah, but the battle system's pretty fun. And it's like, yeah, I need more than pretty fun, to be honest. No, I need to kill this guy. So, and I feel like if you have to make up defenses like that for a game, then it's probably beyond saving. You don't do that. You don't gotta do that. It's just let it be. Just let it die. Just let 10.2 die. Yeah, yep. Basically, like, you have to play through it with a guide if you don't want to miss stuff, because you are absolutely going to miss a bunch of stuff if you don't, which sucks, and is not fun. And the fan service, if you can even call it that, because I'm the kind of person who can, like, I'm okay with fan service. I like fan service. But it's not well done fan service. It's bad fan service. Yeah, fan service as in ass shots, right? Yeah, which is like, I don't know, that's not enough for me. Maybe I'm weird, but I need something with, like, at least a little bit of substance along with the the looting of the characters, like, I need something. You gotta give me something. I can't just live off of staring at fucking PS2 models of characters. $15 in the first cutscene? I don't doubt it. I don't doubt it. And that's like I said, like, there is... I can deal with gratuitous fan service if it's like... If it feels like it's in, like, you know, purposeful and like, reasonable, I guess. I don't know. I don't really know what I'm saying. What I'm really saying is, like, sure, Yuna and Riku are great, but, like, why not even it out a little bit? Also, why are we inserting, like, a third bad girl character when Lulu already existed? And C... Yeah, exactly. There's no character development. In fact, arguably, the character development that happens in Final Fantasy X is basically just like, no, that game, like, was really just a rough draft. This is the story. This is the story that we want to really tell, and it's like, really? Come on, man. Why you gotta do me like this? So I don't know. I bounced off of 10-2 really, really hard. I like have a thorough dislike of that video game. Because I just think that it's not really a sequel to 10 in any, like, reasonable sense of the word. Other than, like, yes, it is still set in the same world, and it does have some of the same characters, and it does technically happen after the events of 10. Like, everything beyond that, everything beyond, like, the semantical definition of a sequel is not present in that video game. Oh god, like... yeah, I don't know. And like you said, like, the characters just get the rawest end of that deal that they possibly could have. They are hollow shells of themselves when we see them in that game. And they decided to, I don't know, I cannot stand, like, the inclusion of pain is just completely baffling to me. And I don't get it. Why? Whoever was on the team and making decisions and was like, yep, this is what we need. Insert a new character who has no, like, interesting backstory and gets no character development, and honestly is kind of fucking annoying. That'll be what does it. That'll balance out our trio of heroines. That's what we need. It's like, no, that's, you're wrong. You're super duper wrong. Odd. Oh, you know what I'm missing? I just realized why I'm struggling to get through this area. Leather and belts, the fans will love it. Lulu had that! Lulu had that! Whiff. Anyway, I don't need to rant about 10. I don't need to rant about 10-2. I know I already did, and it's too late now, but, like... Yeah, I don't really care. I don't really care. Also, that relationship is fucking terrible, and I hate it. I don't really care. I don't really care. Also, that relationship is fucking terrible, and I hate it. Yeah, no, that's yeah. It's because it didn't matter, and they just wanted to tell a sexy story, which is what they did. Well, honestly, they wanted to show a sexy video game. I don't think they much cared about whether or not they were telling a story, to be honest. Who saw me? Oh, this guy. Dude, this place sucks. Yeah, also, she's too serious for the comedy they were going for. Did I see the secret Mount Gagazet hot spring scene? I probably didn't know, and I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm glad. It has been actually 5 years since I played that video game, so I remember nothing from it. I have bleached that game completely out of my brain. The fact that I remember the third character's name is honestly a fucking miracle. I can't believe I did that. The thing about Lulu Waka is that it's fucking weird and creepy and I hate it, and it's dumb and stupid. So, I completely deflect the narrative that you're trying to spin there, where it's like, oh, obviously Lulu couldn't be there because they decided through that game's existence that Lulu couldn't be there. It's like, no, they could have also just not done that. Orin X Riku? That alone tells you the audience was targeting. Yeah, I know. Orin X Riku. Interesting. Orin's dead. So, just like I don't ship Tidus with anybody, I don't ship Orin with anybody, because he is supremely dead. Very, very, very dead. You came up with that to be uncomfortable? Well done. Come on. When's the Kingdom Hearts count up? Oh. Don't tempt me. Kimari X. I don't want to talk about any. I don't want to talk about any shipping. I don't ship characters. If they have an in narrative relationship, fine. If they don't, I don't care. Boy, this is a bit of a stalemate, isn't it? That was strong. Yep, that is another reason why I think that game is basically unplayable and unrecommendable. Is because that should not exist. Motherfucker. I swear to God, the scenario writers for 10-2, like, didn't actually know that much about Final Fantasy X. Because I don't think any reasonable writers would have written that shit. You'll probably skip cutscenes. I think that might be a way to make it, like, semi-manageable, but I don't know. If I'm going to play an RPG and I'm not going to watch the cutscenes, then I would rather just play a game that doesn't rely heavily on them for disseminating a narrative. If a certain mod ever bans anybody for talking about Kingdom Hearts, they will not be a mod anymore. Her her irrational dislike for something that she's literally never seen or experienced or herself is unwarranted and unfounded. Yeah, Leo better watch out. Oh, jeez. Should probably actually turn on divination. I did that whole section without it on. Better make sure I didn't miss anything. Oh, wait, I know there's a little man up on this cliff up here. How do I get up there? Can I go this way? There we go. You played it for about an hour or two when it first came out, then you didn't play it. I hate to break it to you, playing an hour or two of a video game is not playing the video game. I know that may come across as like a hot take or controversial, but if you're not even going to remove your ability to refund a game on Steam, then you didn't fucking play the game. Didn't like 10.2, but it actually gets worse. Have either of you actually read this little short story that follows all the 10.2 story stuff? No, I haven't. Nope. No, I mean, like I said, honestly, I pretend that Final Fantasy X-2 does not exist, and I believe Square Enix does the same. So, I'm perfectly fine with having the same stance as Square Enix on their property that shouldn't exist. Oh, ow. Ow. Yeah, we have a fan fiction elitist amongst us. Wait, can I actually get around? Is there a lat? Oh, what the hell? Apparently Tita's coming back as canon. Yeah, I was aware of that. It's just fucking stupid and terrible. He gets blown up not long later and brought back again. Starts acting weird because of it. Yeah, that kind of sounds like something that would happen at this point with what they were trying to do with that. Supposed to be official, yeah. I don't know, like. Yeah, like I said, I genuinely just ignore. I recently replayed through Final Fantasy X. Still think that game. Well, actually, I had a better experience with the second time than the first time. That game is pretty fun. I think Final Fantasy X is a pretty fun game. Some people make the argument that the voice acting hasn't aged well. I don't think those people realize how deep that barrel is. But what do I think? Yeah, I like 10 a lot. It's probably not in my top 5, but that's just because like I'm pretty picky. I'm pretty picky when it comes to like actually picking the top 5. And it certainly doesn't unseat 9, 6, or 5. 9, 6, and 5 are all so good. And 3, I have a personal fondness with, although I would not say it is a particularly strong. It doesn't have particularly strong characters, but it wasn't supposed to, so it's kind of weird like that. But that's also not the game's fault. It just is the way it is. 12 VA is your favorite? 12 voice acting? Oh, 12 voice acting. I like 12's voice acting is really, really good. Most of it's great, some of it's not. Every game with voices is like that. I think that's true. It's pretty rare. I mean, for at least for the Final Fantasy games, when they like we have 10, 12, 13, and 15 as our, and now 7 Remake as our like voice acted Final Fantasy games, and they're all I mean like 7 Remake, this voice acting is incredible, and I like 15 quite a bit for a lot of reasons. Yeah. Oh, hi. What's up? Yeah, there's some silly things like that. 15 is fantastic VA. Yeah, no, it's great. Here's the thing that I'll say about 15 VA. I love it, but it's a little meme worthy. Like, everybody knows that. I don't think that's a controversial sentiment. It's a little bit memey, and that is a good thing, but also I think that it means that maybe some additional work could have been put in to try to limit the scope of the memes. I played the original edition of 15 because I bought a PS4 basically to play that game. I bought a PS4. I was at the point in the count up, and I think I don't remember if I talk about it or not as I'm doing the count up, those super old VODs or not, but as I was doing the count up, I did not have a PS4, and then when I played 10 and 10-2 on my PC, I played 10-2 and Tactics both because I was waiting for Zodiac Age to come out, the 12 Zodiac Age, and 15 had only been out for like a few months before that, I want to say. And so I had I bought a PS4 to play Bloodborne, Zodiac Age, and the original version of Final Fantasy 15 for the count up. I have no idea how that didn't work. Oh my god. I don't even actually own the Royal Edition. I wish I did. Would I say the PS4 purchase was worth it? Literally, for those 3 games alone, I would say it was worth it. I've gotten so much more use out of my PS4 since then. Like, I'm streaming on my PS4 right now with Nioh, and I did Nioh 2. I've played probably 2 to 3 dozen games that have been on my channel with my PS4. So, yep, 7 Remake was on PS4. That was super worth it. Dude, this guy sucks. I don't know when I'm supposed to hit him yet. And his range is ridiculous. Oh my god! This motherfucker needs to chill out. Fuck that guy, man. God damn. Played it a decent bit after release, and so I was you're constantly all the cool shows. Yeah, I said a few months. Like, there was a couple of DLC. There was only one DLC out when I started that game, which was the first one, which I think was Ignis's, and then Gladiolus's came out after I had finished it pretty shortly, and then a few months later, Episode Gladio was first. Okay, then I have it backwards. We did Episode Gladio, like, after I had finished the story. Like, I just did it, like, immediately. And then we had to wait, like, a couple months until Ignis was out. And then I played Prompto the following Christmas because that's when that one came out. So it's not like I didn't play it that. I don't think you should limit yourself with that statement to it just being replaying games, Jayla. But yeah, no, I played that. Final Fantasy 15 had been out for. Lets you swap to the bros. They just play like the DLC episodes. That's what I've heard. I know some things about the Royal Edition. I honestly, the main reason at this point, the main reason I would buy the Royal Edition is because when I picked up Final Fantasy 15, I bought the season pass, but that only went through Prompto. You were trying not to bully yourself? Yeah, but you also gotta be honest with yourself, don't you? It only went through episode Prompto, and episode Arden is out now, I believe, and I would like to check that out. But I think that's the only main story stuff that I haven't done. But I also, as far as like I haven't touched the side stuff. There's so much side stuff in 15 that I just like didn't do because I didn't know how to get to it and I didn't know how to look for it. I wasn't a very good explorer, I would say, back when I did the Final Fantasy count up. I feel like in hindsight, I think it really took the Tales games and playing through all of those to really get me to the point where I feel like I know how to explore a game and find secrets. Royal Edition until around chapter 10 or so is mostly the same, but with new cutscenes, several from the movie that should have been the. Oh. I would love to replay 15, but at this point, I have relegated Final Fantasy replays to votes. Oh, this is what I needed. I need to keep that. That's fine. I have relegated the replays to votes, so when the game gets voted, it will get replayed. People voted for 9 and 10 in much greater numbers this time around, and 6 than 15. But now I've replayed 6, 7, 8, and 10, so I feel like as soon as we can get 9 under our belts, 15 will absolutely be in contention. I just think 6 through 10 are so popular, pretty ubiquitously. Oh, that's kind of interesting. I didn't know that it would have a chapter select mode either. Although it makes sense, for sure. Oh! He just OTG'd me. I was trying to stand up. Oh, that's interesting. It sounds like it has a lot of features. Yeah, unfortunately, I would say that unfortunately, really the biggest disappointment with Final Fantasy 15, in my opinion, is that it just feels like the game, unfortunately, wasn't finished yet, and it's just sucky when that shit happens, you know? Yeah, try to shoot me, please. So I can shoot you first. Thank you. Now, where is that skeleton at? Where was that skeleton that attacked me? What, did it come down from up above, really? Oh, no, it was right there on the ground. Oh, there's a bunch of them. I see. Well, how about we do this dance? What do you think of this, huh? Set your dumb ass on fire. How about that? Oh, shit. He keeps dodging. Why is he so good? Why didn't I guard that? I was fucking holding the guard button. Alright, you have given me enough grief, sir. Oh, oh god. Oh, not like this. Whew. Get out of here. There we go. Thank goodness. Oh. No. Whew. All right, great. Making progress. I guess I should ask the question then. Since you said you're at Final Fantasy VII now, are you going to play OG 7, the remake, or both? Oh, you're doing both? Not sure if you're going to do Crisis Core and Remake afterwards or after the mainline games. Yeah. I would do Crisis Core before. If you're at 7 and you haven't started 7 yet, I would play Crisis Core first. If you want my opinion. As I feel like the setups in Crisis Core pay off pretty good if you've played it before you play 7. That being said, Crisis Core is like it's a nice thing that fills some gaps, but I would not call it like a great video game. You skipped 4 after years. That's what everybody should do. That's what everybody should do. 4 after years does not deserve the words Final Fantasy at the beginning of its... I mean, I don't know. I honestly, I don't know why they ever try to make it... I don't think there's ever been a good Final Fantasy sequel. Like, I don't think there's ever been a single good Final Fantasy sequel. And they've tried it half a dozen times, and they just can't do it. And I don't know what it is about the development team at Square Enix and why they are good at coming up with original stories and why they are so bad at continuing original stories. But it baffles me. It honestly baffles me. The gameplay feels like a mobile game. Yeah, that's enough of a reason to stay away from that. I mean, I play mobile games. I play lots of mobile games. I would even say that I like mobile games, but like I don't like any Final Fantasy mobile games. I've tried some of the ones that they have. None of them have really clicked with me. Do the 14 expansions count as sequels? That's such an interesting... That's an interest... I would say... I think they do. So you have a point there. But I guess then I have to make a caveat with my statement then, because that does mean Square Enix knows how to do a sequel when that sequel continues an existing story. What they don't know how to do is write a new story within an existing IP. Because so far, the Final Fantasy XIV sequels or expansions that function as sequels, right? They've been telling this one meta narrative the whole time. And we've just been getting bits and pieces of it each time and getting like subplots that kind of like come and go and wrap up within the duration of the expansion. But it's all kind of been in service of the meta narrative. So I don't know. I'm almost torn on calling them a sequel because I think it's a tricky thing to quantify, right? Like I feel like a sequel should tell. You're not getting your hopes up for 16. Does it interest you so far? I think maybe about the 14 team. Yes. I am not like a hype person. I don't really get hyped for games. I don't think that getting hyped for games is very productive to making good purchasing decisions. So, which I think is a bit of a plague right now in the gaming hobby, the greater gaming hobby sphere thing, whatever you want to call it. I don't think that very many people are conscientious about what they're buying and just want to buy, which I don't agree with. So I don't get hyped for anything. I am very much keeping my eye on Final Fantasy 16 because I would like to play Final Fantasy 16 if it comes to fruition, which it sounds like it's going to. But like, you know, beyond that level of commitment, I have no stake. I have no horse in that race. So. But I would be lying if I didn't say that I was intrigued when they announced Final Fantasy 16 at that Square Enix, Sony, whatever that thing was that they did a while back. It was definitely news, and it was definitely like, oh shit, Final Fantasy isn't like just an MMO anymore. Because it's been a while since we got anything even with 15. So I was kind of questioning myself whether or not they might be considering what about that other new IP? I forget the Project Athia for years. Yeah, I don't know anything about it. I think there's a crowd of people who are... is that the one that's like... that looked like a return to like something akin to Tactics? That got people all worked up and spun up? Is that the one that you're referring to? I don't even remember. Because they showed off some like Tactics-like game. Yeah, Triangle Strategy is the one that I think I'm referring to. I remember seeing Athia, but I don't remember anything about it. Oh my god. Who shot that? Did you oh my god. Sir? Sir? Forspoken or something. Yeah, I'll be honest. I don't keep up too much with development cycles. Like I said, kind of for the aforementioned reason of like, I don't want to give myself a chance to be prone to like the hype. Made with the same engine as 15. Oh, the Triangle Strategy Square Enix thing. You're right. That was like at a Nintendo Direct, wasn't it? Well, if it's coming out on Switch, you might as well play it on Switch, because if they port it to PC, it's going to be ass, and everybody knows that. Square Enix doesn't know how computers work. Not lots to see. Check it out. Okay. Except for 14. Yeah, I mean, that's an argument that could be made. It's not one that I'm gonna make because, like, there are plenty of people who will tell you that 14 is not a very well optimized PC thing. So it's better than 11. Ah, yes. Let us set the bar as far down as we possibly can. Let's just lower that bar. Lower it on down, baby. Lower that bar. You played that for years and were very happy. Nothing wrong with that. But it's a PS2 game. It's a PS2 game. A fucking potato can run Final Fantasy 11. Or maybe like a few potatoes put together. 1.0 is better than 14 now. Change your mind. Very easy to do. Very fucking easy to do. 1.0 was fucking garbage. Unless you had a $2,000 PC, 1.0 was not going to run at any respectable or reasonable rate. or like functionality. Boy, the Goon Squad fucking showed up here, didn't they? One point oh's cutscenes looked and rendered like ass. The character models were stiff and janky. Can't believe 1.0 was so bad they took it down, changed all of it, and called the original plot a backstory. I can absolutely believe that, because it was. It was really, really bad. Nice try, motherfucker. I can dodge bullets. Oh, you're tanky. Bro. Did I play 1.0? No, I didn't, but I didn't need to. I've watched like the entire story retrospective of it because I like what they did with 1.0 and not making that work go to waste. Here's the thing. I think that there are lots of people who would make the argument with 1.0, and I don't even think that they're wrong. That 1.0 wasn't necessarily a bad game. It wasn't necessarily like, from a game perspective, it wasn't. It just had some things in it that made it really, like, challenging to play because it was very technically intensive, but for the wrong reasons, and made some decisions that they thought were going to be kind of like they were just trying to predict the future of MMOs, and they went the wrong direction. That's the biggest problem with Final Fantasy XIV 1.0, is that they tried to make some predictions and made some assumptions about what MMO gaming, what the next phase of MMO gaming was, and they were super duper wrong. They were really, 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 really wrong. And it's... yeah, anyway. What they've done with A Realm Reborn was go through and rectify those changes, or rectify those decisions, in so much as they made it so that the world was a reasonable size that's playable for humans who can sleep still. And they also realized that unless they were going to sell PCs that fucking ran the game along with the game, they needed to build it such that it could run on the console that it was supposed to run on. It was supposed to be able to run on PS3, but I don't know that it 1.0 ever did that. Oh yeah, A Realm Reborn. I mean, I used to play WoW, and I quit WoW to play A Realm Reborn. Like, actually, that's not true. I started playing... yeah, 1.0 barely ran on supercomputers. There he is. Say his name, and he will come. The crazy thing about A Realm Reborn is that I had a buddy, and I actually didn't start playing 14 until Heavensward had already been out. And I started playing with Heavensward, and I was still playing WoW at the time, and I stopped. The last expansion I played for WoW was Battle for Azeroth. I haven't touched Shadowlands, and I basically hit the level cap in Battle for Azeroth and was done. I think I did maybe like a week or two of raids, and I just haven't looked back since then. And I think that Final Fantasy XIV is a vastly superior game for what I want out of a game that I am going to play, which is, primarily speaking, like, I am down for a multiplayer experience. I actually still like massively multiplayer games. Final Fantasy XIV introduced 2 zones over the past 2 expansions that are designed to have lots of players in them all at once, all working on the same goals. One is called Eureka, and the other is called Bosja. And I like those zones. I like the multiplayer aspect of MMOs. But Final Fantasy XIV has that, and also has like a thrilling, interesting, deep, complex, a single player experience as well, which is wonderful. So, dungeons where you need to wait ages for team members. A, that's gotten better. B, I mean, like, if you know some people who play, getting through some of those early dungeons is way better. And C, even if you don't make any friends and you don't know anybody who's playing the game, they have recently started rolling out what are known as trust dungeons, which allows you to queue with a group of NPC party members to fill in the other 3 people you would need for a dungeon party and run with them, and they can execute like the boss mechanics and help you do the dungeon. They're called trust dungeons. And so even if you don't want to queue, or you play DPS and you don't want to wait, or whatever. Now, that's not a universal system yet. They have not rolled it out to every single dungeon in the game, but I would be shocked if that is not their ultimate goal. It's just that there's a lot of work to be done to finalize that. There's a lot of dungeons in the game before they added in this system, so I'm sure that is something that they're looking at, but I do not know if there's I don't think there's an actual timeline on it, but it certainly shows the potential for that to be there, and I think that reinforces the fact that they want to keep this like an MMO experience, but they also recognize that they have a fucking bomb-ass Final Fantasy story on their hands that people want to play without having to play with people. So, you guess they plan on doing it for everything, since it's pretty much a straight rip from a system from 11, and now 11 has it for everything? Oh, okay. I didn't know that. Yeah, well, and it doesn't work like 12's Gambit system. They're just AI. They operate on their own. They just play, and you play your character, and you only have to worry about your character. But it's interesting. I didn't know that 11 had that system. That's really interesting. It certainly lends credence to the idea that they will continue that implementation then, for sure. Anyway, not something you particularly enjoy. Yeah, but see, the thing is, like, so far the trusts, without spoiling anything, so far the trusts that we have access to in the game are all like characters that we've known for a really long time and we're like really close to as the player character. So they just they like have their own personalities, and they play in certain ways depending on who it is and what job they're filling, and like they have little conversations while you play. I mean, it's just like playing it's just like playing through a little set piece. It's just like playing through like a little moment in the story where these characters are going through and doing this dungeon or whatever it is that they're doing. So, okay, I guess I guarded it. Man, I fucking hate these guys. These guys suck. Oh, I'm dead. Yeah, it is interesting. I think it's a really, really cool... personally, I like to try it out once. Honestly, here's the thing. There is a known trade-off with the trust system, which is that they have gone on record and basically been like, if you run with real people, it'll take... Like, an average dungeon duration with the AI is about 25 to 30 minutes. Whereas, like, a group of players can get it done easily in, like, 15 to 20 minutes. So you're talking about, somewhere between 50 to 75% like extra amount of time that you would have to invest overall to complete the dungeon, compared to just playing with regular players. And that's something that they have gone on record and said, and they're like, this is the trade-off. If you want AI to complete the dungeon with you, you have to deal with the fact that they do not go at the speed that players do. But, I mean, if you don't care about the time investment, which honestly, like, I still don't really run with the trusts that often because I like meeting new players, but for the people who don't want to meet new people, or I mean, I have friends who talk about wanting to use the trust system to, play dungeons without having to worry about playing them well enough that they, are worried about their performance. And it's like, yeah, also, yeah, depending on when you do a dungeon, if it's a rote experience for some people, they may not be respectful of the fact that you're new. I think the community has personally gotten better about this. I think that the community has gotten really, really, really good about, like, if you just say, hey, this is my first time, or when the first time bonus pops up on the screen and somebody says, like, who's new, and you respond with, I'm new, like, people will respect that, in my experience. But it's about that communication as well. Aww. He has a really weird leash point. I've never even heard of that RPG myself. Yeah, that would be a new one for me. Can I break all these? Nope. Can't break any of them, in fact. What up, little man? Fire buff, charge in! Oh god. Oh god. I made a mistake. Oh, I made a big mistake. Oh, that hit me, but I didn't burst counter it. Yeah, I don't have iOS. Apple phones could fuck off forever. They're garbage. Oh my god. Fuck these guys. How do I shoot you in the head? There we go. Where's the other asshole? There he is. Fuck you. Your sister-in-law would disagree? Yeah, she's wrong. Apple phones are hot, smelly, straight, awful garbage. I wanted to waste $2,000 on something that didn't do what I told it to when I told it to do it, I would buy like an expensive stupid dog or something. It's a bad analogy. I have very strong opinions about Apple products. Predominantly stemming from the fact that the price tag of them is just absolutely absurd. They're cheap and have so many features. Okay, Tim Apple. You didn't put a /s at the end of your statement, but I pray for you that you meant that sarcastically. If you think a fucking iMac is cheap, I have both exciting and terrible news for you. Oh, that was a hole. Is there another hole? Did I make 2 holes? I made 2 holes. Or the holes were already there, depending on your perspective. I just found them. Hmm? Yes. Oh. Yeah, there it is. There it is. Now I can tell that that's sarcasm. That's my kind of joke. Did you just taunt me? Oh no, you just summoned a little buddy. Can I do that? I wouldn't really want to summon a yokai, but like, can I summon? I guess I can do the. Aw, you. Oh, I forgot they blew up. Oh, actually, I blocked it. Oh man, that was one of the fucking craziest things that came from that's come out of more recent years of people continuing to use and buy Apple products was they announced a new iPhone. All of a sudden my fucking my RAM filled up, my processor speeds dropped, my phone started getting hotter while I was using it the same way as I used to. Boy, this sure is strange. What a weird set of coincidences. Who could have imagined that this would happen? And I mean, like, I also, as much as I will shit on Apple every single fucking day of the week, but I also, like, if you like it and you can afford it and it's not like busting your bank and, you know, popping your piggy bank and making you count quarters, like, that's fine. It's totally fine. Just like, I also try to make sure I educate people on what it is they're actually buying and what their money is going towards. You too like to place your balls in a vice for fun every year. Yeah, that's the thing. And so, like I said, I really try not to harsh, like, as with anything, even video games that I don't like, I try very hard not to be like, if you like this, you're wrong or bad. But I do genuinely believe that there are some things that people should be not afraid to discuss openly. There are a couple of games that do not deserve recognition. One of them is Overblood and the other is Earthbound. Blackmails him to stick with him and defending them. Oh, dude, that's an amazing conspiracy theory, and one that I can absolutely like get behind. That's so good. He just gave it back. He didn't want that. I don't know what he means by give me that warm thing. I don't understand that. It's like the Duolingo memes? What Duolingo memes? You're gonna have to explain that one. You don't get to just fling that one around like we know what the hell you're talking about. Oh, and I'm back down. Played around 10 or 12 hours into Earthbound. It's okay you didn't enjoy it as much as you think. That is I fucking beat Earthbound because I commit too hard to some things, and I'm just like, I'm gonna finish this game. That game is not good. If you stopped around the 10 or 12 hour mark, you stopped at the right time, because it does not get better. In fact, it arguably only gets worse. You probably saw all of the things that people are fond of in that game without any of the trash that that game has. Yeah, I know. Well, that's what happens with cult classics. Like, people revere a lot of things that are really only cult classic status. They're good for some people for very specific reasons. People take that shit all the time and are like, everybody will like this. That's the problem with something attaining cult classic or cult reverence, is like, they try desperately to share it with everybody that they know because they assume that everybody is going to like it like them because they love it so completely and unconditionally, even though they shouldn't. Not super into FF6, but you can understand where the love comes from. I'm not one of the people who on Final Fantasy VI's birthday tweeted out, "Oh, it's the birthday of the greatest RPG ever made of all time." I'm not one of those people. It is a very, very good game, though. Yeah, there was nothing to be upset about with that game being over. Anyway, yeah, anybody who ever tries to tell me that Earthbound is a good game, I just laugh at them. I will never, like, I fully understand why it was recommended. Oh my god, the frame rate. I will fully understand why it was recommended to me and why people said that I should play it and why people say that they like it, but liking something does not mean it's good. And a lot of people like stuff that is not good. And some people like stuff because it's not good. So, falls flat for you after you get the airship back in World of Ruin? Interesting. You know what? I experienced a bit of that myself replaying through it. I was following a walkthrough this time, so it kind of helped me get through a little bit of the rough and tumble that happens at the beginning of World of Ruin. I would say the biggest problem with World of Ruin is just that it's just very undirected. It's very undirected and it doesn't give you much to work with. If you don't kind of know where to go or where to start looking, or kind of like how to find the clues of where to go, World of Ruin is kind of a pain in the ass. Yeah, I don't like grinding. I don't like grinding at all. In fact, I fucking hate grinding. I hate grinding with such a burning, fiery passion. Even unintentionally grinding and ending up, like, stronger than everything else frustrates me. Every character becomes a blank slate for every plot point because you can do the rest of the game. Yeah, but the counterpoint that I'll make to that is a lot of the things that you can do in World of Ruin wrap up a lot of the early character development from World of Light or World of Balance. So, the flip side of that is, like, while that is true, what happens in World of Ruin is basically every character gets, like, a finale that is designed to give them closure to whatever they started out dealing with at the beginning of the game. And that is a bit of a blanket statement that is not technically true for a couple of characters. Just a couple of the characters who are not. World of Ruin feels like padding because the World of Balance is so short if you know what you're doing. Yeah, but I would argue that that's exactly the reason why you should make World of Balance take kind of as long as possible. There's actually a lot of stuff in World of Balance that you should do that you don't have to do. And also, like, the reason World of Ruin is like that is because you can take, like, the theory is, if you wanted to, after you get the airship, you can just go straight to Kefka. Like, the characters even say dialogue to that effect of, like, all right, now that we have the airship, we can take the fight straight to Kefka and, like, take his ass down. And I think that if you were to ask me, personally, I have a belief that one of the things with Final Fantasy VI is, I think, based on the way that the final fight and the final dungeon kind of plays out, I almost expect that the developers kind of thought to themselves, well, let's let them try to beat Kefka with only 3 or 4 party members and let them see how well that goes for them, and then, like, decide for themselves whether or not they think they need to go find more party members or not. I think that was kind of like something that they considered, of being like, yeah, well, we'll give the player a chance to, like, try to do this very difficult thing, without forcing them to go through and recruit a whole party. And I think that that's kind of cool. I do think that it leads to, like, a lack of a central narrative, which can be its own kind of struggle, but oh my god, there's more people with guns. Oh, and I just went right through him. Oh, ow. Fuck. Fuck. No, no. Oh my god. I got stuck on the fucking... I should have just tried to fucking... I was just afraid of fucking it up again. I should have just tried to get him. Feels like the plot kind of takes a back seat. It does. It absolutely does. It absolutely does feel like the plot takes a back seat, but I think that's on purpose. And I think that it's designed to serve the idea that the player gets to decide how interconnected the narrative, or each of the individual characters' narratives stays to the story. Which, like, you know, for better or for worse, you can absolutely make an argument that they should have just made you get all the characters before you could go do Kefka, and that would generate, that would make a better through narrative. And like, I wouldn't necessarily disagree with you. Yeah, well, Final Fantasy versus like a Saga game. Yeah, it's kind of like the best of both those worlds, right? God, I hate these enemies so much. I fucking hate him. I hate him so goddamn much. Their fucking swings are so goddamn clumsy that it's such an annoyance to try to burst counter them. Fuck you. I fucking tried to back off to the side. Do it again. If you're not just like specifically waiting and watching and baiting that attack, it's just a nightmare. It's just an annoying nightmare. Alright. All of the archers are, or I guess some of them have guns. Fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck you. And fuck you. Is that everybody? Dude, this area right here, this mission makes me fucking sad. FF shines with a more linear story focus. More open world segments are okay. FF always seems to stray away from that, but works in the rest of the game. That's interesting. See, I like, I would say that I'm fine with the mixture. I just think that the main struggle with Final Fantasy VI is that it doesn't feel very balanced. Like the weird, fuck. The weird thing about FF6 is that it just kind of is very jarring, because you've had so much of the game for so long be very like, okay, now we have to go here, now we have to go here, and even that, like, obviously you can break off from that and do other side stuff and find other secrets, but it the interesting thing that I think that happens in World of Ruin is just that there is only one we have to go here. I think that there's two ways to fix it. One, add a few more story dots to World of Ruin, because pretty much the only story dot is Kefka's Tower, and you see it when you are just Celeste and why can't I remember his name? Sabin. Celeste and Sabin. Took each character, made more lines for who you bring to each optional scenario. That is definitely, and so the thing that I'll say about that is I think that that's just a scope issue. Like, that game would have been fucking massive, like even more massive than it already is if they would have tried to do something like that. I agree. And it's funny, actually. You asked me what I thought about 10, and we've been kind of talking about 6 now. I have to say this. At the end of my playthrough of Final Fantasy VI, I made a comment that I think is a little tricky to understand, but it's well-intentioned. And that is, I would love to see a remake of Final Fantasy VI. because I think they could do some things that they wanted to do with that game back in the day now that they couldn't do then because of scope issues. And that what you're talking about right now is absolutely one of them. Like doing more stuff that's, you know, centered around who you have in your party is very intensive and very difficult to manage, especially for an SNES game. But now, oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think it would save it for. I think you're not. Here's the thing, like what you've expressed, I don't think is bad or wrong or, you know, any of that stuff. I think you're pretty much in the same vein as I am. I really like almost everything about Final Fantasy VI, and it's a very, very good game. You can just buff in front of me? How dare you? But I do think that it toes the line for me a bit, where I look at it and I'm just like, okay, this is a very good game, but what if? What if the original SNES release wasn't a buggy nightmare of like broken code and shit that doesn't work correctly and stats that don't mean anything and glitches that can break your game and all sorts of shit like that? But what if? And so like I look at stuff like that too when I think about a remake. Like, to me, a remake is, you know, why doesn't my dodge stat do anything? Or I think with respect to like when enemies are blinded or whatever that stupid like massive programming error is in the original releases of Final Fantasy VI on the SNES, like it just don't work right. And like the translation that we got of OG Final Fantasy VI is like fine, it functions, but we just did a replay through of it with somebody who's pretty familiar with a decent amount of the old version. And she was pointing out differences in the dialogue where she's like, wow, the way that it's translated in this makes a lot more sense than the original. So you've been doing a lot of modding for GBA version? Oh, really? Interesting. Yeah, I played. The recent replay through of 6 that I did was the Game Boy Advance version. I really like that version. Poor Woolsey. Yeah, and like I said, I'm not criticizing his work at all. We all understand the conditions that he was under, which were insane. And the fact that he completed an inhuman task, like translating all of Final Fantasy VI by himself, is honestly, it's a fucking miracle. It's incredible. And his work is the reason that we have the Final Fantasy franchise as popular as it is in the West. Like, without him doing that, like, there's a translation for SNES 6 which combines Woolsey and GBA translations. Yeah, yep, absolutely. So anyway, like I said, he did an incredible thing, and given the resources that he had and what his task was, I do not begrudge him any of the work that he did. But there are definitely some oddities about that work years later that are pretty apparent. And I don't think it's a bad thing to, you know, mention that, to refer to that. So I don't think it diminishes what he did. I think all it does is just like, we do have to recognize that at this point in time, given the fact that Square Enix is a massive company now and can put the work in on like a remake or a retranslation like they did with the GBA port, we can have a Final Fantasy VI that's really incredible, I think. Sorry, I'm running through a lot of places that I've been because I'm just like looking for I'm just trying to make sure that I'm not missing anything. I already found all the Kodama, though, so that's all I should really care about. We should just move on. Somebody should have told me to stop running around like a goober like an hour ago. Okay, so I found all the Kodama. I'm just looking for secrets at this point, but we just need to go in here and deal with this Dark Realm and move on with our lives. Oh, hi, sir. Why does it have to be you? Oh my god, please. Oh, and I'm down. And I'm down here now. I'm gonna hit him with my shuriken and kunai. Ah. Ow. Is this game harder than Bloodborne? No. I wouldn't say so. This game has some things that you can do that I think make it a lot easier to play than Bloodborne. That being said, I would say that the combat is still... The combat is no fucking joke. Like, you still have to be good with a controller, but for example, it's definitely a lot faster. What, this or Souls? I would say this is slower than Souls. Or than Bloodborne. Because this has blocking. This game has blocking and requires you to know when to block and when not to block. But, that being said, things die a lot quicker. So, the combat is slower and kind of simultaneously faster because of that. Here's the thing. The reason that this looks faster, in my opinion, is because there's a lot of shit going on at any one given time. This game's combat system is far more complex than Bloodborne's. Bloodborne's combat system ultimately breaks down to use the counter when you can, or the parry when you can. Do as much damage as you can, and don't get hit. This game has some more intricate systems that speed up the combat, but typically speaking, things tend to die quicker. This is a bit of a unique example with this enemy. All right, dead, thank God. But I mean, so just as a quick example, when I'm outside, like just right out the gate, I just want to get this out of the way. I think there's different ways that the Soulsborne series manages difficulty. One of them is the fact that none of the Soulsborne games have a map. That alone gives those games a certain amount of difficulty from constantly having to remember where you are and be mapping out in your mind and focused on where you are at all times in order to like not get lost and maintain progressing through the game. So I don't think it's just combat. I don't think it's just hitting the enemies and not getting hit. I think there's a lot of nuance that is what makes the Soulsborne games have the difficulty that they have, and the map is just one of them. As the counterpoint, and kind of along with what Jay Hit said, this is not really a Soulsborne game. It has some elements of a Soulsborne where when you die, you can lose the experience that you've accrued if you don't make it back to your body. Like that is kind of like a Souls-like element, as well as like pretty punishing combat. It does have that, but it does a lot of things that are very un-Souls-like. Like I was just talking about the map. This game just has a map, and you can get upgrades that let you see where enemies are hidden on the map and where items are hidden on the map. That's not something that you get in the like the Soulsborne games, like the... Oh god, we're doing that, are we? It's just not really something that you have the opportunity to utilize in those games, which adds and also subsequently removes difficulty, in my opinion. So, that being said, as far as like learning all of the different systems that this game has, the complexity is absolutely higher. So that could be an easy stand-in for like, is this game hard or not? It does have a lot of systems that you kind of have to grok to. There's a lot of different weapons that you could that players and enemies can use. There's high, mid, and low stances that you have to balance between. You kind of cycle through and use 2 different types of weapons. Why does this guy keep charging up Yai slashes and then not doing them? The key gauge, which is kind of like Soulsborne stamina, but is a little different. Because your key is also used when you take blocks. So if you run out of key from blocking, then you become vulnerable. So anyway, there is a lot to this. Difficulty is hard to judge across the 2 of them, I would say. Kind of like J-Hit said, this game feels like a bit more of a mix of a couple of different types of games than it does. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. I meant to see if I... Oh, that's mine. I meant to see if I have bullets again, which I do. Good. I gotta shoot this guy. Fuck you. Anyway, I feel like I've rambled a little bit, but basically my general sentiment would be, I would still say that Bloodborne is more difficult in this game, but I think that difficulty doesn't just come from, like, is the combat hard, or are the systems complex? Like, there's little things that this game does to improve on what I would say is, like, a normal Soulsborne, sort of, like, game flow and style that do lower the difficulty simultaneously. I need to find this Biwa and remove it from existence. Yes. You know what? J-Hit said it a lot better in one fucking sentence than I did that entire time where I was rambling. So just listen to what he said. He said it the best. Nioh is easier to get into and have fun with than Soulsborne, but the skill ceiling is rather high in Nioh. I guess he was under there, eh? Cannot beat even the first boss in Dark Souls 3. I think he always shows in the weakest starting stats every time. Yeah, unfortunately, the thing that I'll say about Dark Souls and Soulsborne games is that I would make a strong argument that your statistics do not matter very much in those games. Whereas I would say that your statistics absolutely do matter in a Nioh game. But I think that it's not necessarily a sink or swim sort of thing with Nioh. It's more of a... you're going to find some things that work for you the way you want to play, and you want to work towards those, and you want to stay away from things that you struggle with. Whereas in Dark Souls, I mean, Dark Souls and Bloodborne, it doesn't really matter what stats you have. I like to play and focus on the stats and make sure that I'm like building in a specific way that I think is going to be functional and useful, but ultimately those games just boil down to don't fucking get hit. You just can't get hit. And that's just the long and short of it. The less you get hit, the easier those games are. So if you're good at dodging and you'll be fine. And that's, I tend to play the Soulsborne games with a bit of a hybrid of like being able to do a decent amount of physical damage, but also having, I like bringing healing magic because I like having extra healing because I get hit a lot. But if I have extra healing, I have a higher likelihood of making it out of boss encounters without dying a bunch because I can heal more. I can heal more until I learn how to not get hit. So that's my general strategy with Soulsborne games. You don't really have that in these games. Unga Bunga Big Sword is your Soulsborne build of choice. Yeah, and it works. Like, that's the thing. That's why, like I said, I'm of the strong personal opinion that your stats don't matter. It's honestly just, what do you prefer? What do you like to play with? Build that way, because the moral of the story is, as long as you're not getting hit in a Soulsborne game, you'll do just fine. If you want to be a mage boy and hit stuff from far away, there you are, you motherfucker. As long as you don't get hit, you'll be fine. If you want to play Unga Bunga Big Sword, hit the enemy and kill it in 3 hits, you can absolutely play that way too. Just don't get hit. I mean, it all boils down to being the same thing for those games, in my opinion. You think they moved that guy? What the fuck? The fact that he was up there? Yeah, that's a bit of a dick spot. I didn't even think to look up there. I assumed he'd be down below, underneath the crystals. I would have killed him ages ago if I would have known the motherfucker was up there. Yeah, also, I don't, like, Devil May Cry is, like, a nice, stylish, fun, up the little tower to the left of the shrine. Oh, interesting. Devil May Cry is, like, a fun, stylish, like, action RPG light game. Dark Souls, is, in my opinion, not comparable. Not comparable to Devil May Cry in like, any way, shape, or form. So, just because, like, being good at Devil May Cry, which, honestly, I wish I was. I love the Devil May Cry games, but I am not good at them. Because I'm not good at combos. But if you're great at those games, I don't feel bad if that skill doesn't feel like it properly, like, transfers over to Soulsborne games, because Soulsborne games, besides Bloodborne, are fucking slow, clunky affairs where style points are what get you killed because it's greedy to go for style, and you're just gonna have a bad time if you're trying to stunt on your opponent in Dark Souls. Dark Souls is not a game that you play to look cool. Dark Souls is a game that you play to like, have wow moments. Like, have wow, that was lucky moments, I feel like, in my opinion. It's just like a totally different mindset. Like, you are not going to stunt on your opponents in a Dark Souls game. You are going to survive by the skin of your teeth and be glad that you did, and then move on with your life. Or Unga Bunga Smash, 2-shot the enemy, move on with your life. You must style your way to victory. I'm telling you, man. I understand that feeling. I feel it along with you. But do not play Dark Souls games then. They are not for that. They are actually, in my opinion, the antithesis of that. I'm just going to use all of these. And if I lose them, so be it. I don't want to do the math to figure out whether or not I have enough. If you want style to victory, play Nioh. Totally agree. I don't think I got enough. Yep, short 4K. Oh, I could do some. We could do an offering. Yeah, that definitely got me enough. Fuck, I'm gonna have to get rid of all the blues, too. Is that George? It is George. It is George. Alright, you know what? I think I need to see if we don't have some new Evil Crusher Switchglaive. You have my attention, game. Oh, I reset my damage bonus by resting at the shrine. Well, I don't even know if it counts for enemies that aren't defeated with the weapon. I haven't used my Switchglaive at all this map. Well, it's honestly not that much of an improvement. I don't think I'm gonna opt for it. Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna do that one either. We might be just... Oh, wow. Okay. We might just be getting rid of stuff. Fire starter hood. I locked that Kohaku. Wait, what is it called? Kohoku. The God of War looks down. Interesting. I think have I been waiting for Sohaya Garb? I think I have. I don't have one locked. Yeah, I tend to agree. I don't really like slow weapons. I'm also just like bad at them. I'm just bad. Alright, I was gonna go through my gear because I was like, oh, I wonder if I get rid of all of my blues and purples, if maybe I'll have enough for one more level up. But I'm just gonna do the blues and hold on. 159. Fuck. That is not enough. Alright, here we go. We're just gonna do it. We're just gonna do it manual style. Maybe. Could be. Archer, Exorcist. Old. A lot of this stuff is old. I'm looking at the Amrita value right now. That's why I'm doing it this way. I apologize that it's slow. 52. I need 225. 67, 68. Old. 61, 59, it's 220. 221.5. Is this post game? It is not. Nope. Nope. We're still doing the main missions. $67.59. That's enough. That's not quite enough. All right, do those. Yeah, 226. That's good. I'll take it. All right. I know I said I wasn't going to fuck with it, and then I fucked with it. I'm sorry. Let's do it. Boss time. Bossu! Oh! Oh, rip that guy. Oh, I don't like the way this is looking. I'm here! Oh, this boss is either going to be really cool or a huge pain in my butt. Oh, I think I already see what we're supposed to do here. Oh, how am I supposed to get the buff if you blow it up? Oh, fuck. Okay, okay, yep, I see that. Alright, good. Ooh, this game, this boss kind of runs like boo-boo. I'm sorry in advance. He's blowing up all the crystals that I want to use. I don't like this, Oh, they caught me that time. Oh. 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 Switch off the bow guy. Oh, he did. He did. Ask and I shall receive. Oh my god. And he blew up another one of the crystals that I wanted to use. Really couldn't move there. Oh. Oh, fire. Oh my god. Do you have any burst counter moves, bro? There it is. Oh! Oh, they both attack at once! Oh, no, arrows. Oh, I'm stuck on something. Oh, I didn't burst counter. I did try, though. I actually have Guild Toss. I just don't have it, I don't have it prepared. Stop that. Whoa. Asshole. Oh my god. What? Alright, sure, game. I'm gonna try to heal this up with a regen here, but I'm not gonna be confident that it's gonna work out in my favor. Oh. Oh. Oh my god. Ooh, he could have killed me there. I said fuck it to the regen. Oh, I don't know how those didn't hit me. His aim is getting worse. Oh, I guess he's doing water damage to me. Dude, full-on spam-areno from this guy. Come on, do something I can burst counter. Damn. Fuck. Oh. Oh, wow, really? Oh, alright, I might be dead. Yeah. I'm not sure. I guess you're just supposed to know that the difference between the two burst counter moves that he has based on what form he's in, but the fact that they have identical startups really bothers me. No, don't switch immediately. I just grabbed the stuff. Frick. Oh my god. I literally only did this to save my life. Almost didn't work. Oh. Ow. Boy, this... Oh, my God. I can't pause it, can I? Cat just knocked over my fucking router because it's a dipshit. I hope I didn't disconnect. Oh, my God. Fucking dumbass cat. Which one do you think? Oh my God! Ugh. The tracking on the arrows pisses me off. Hold on, I'm just gonna fix it. I'll be right back. Cat's already been fed. It's just a dipshit. A connection error has occurred. You don't say. I wonder how that could have possibly happened. From me fixing it, uh-huh. Yeah, I'm sure that's what did it. Fucking shitlord cat. No, it wasn't Loaf Cat. Which one? Which one is the most likely to be playing with something that it's not supposed to play with? Loaf Cat doesn't do anything. She is the furthest thing from an angel I have ever seen in my life. Oh my god, the performance is just so bad around certain areas of this map. I don't even know if that was burst counterable. It certainly looked like it. Dude, did they just hit you automatically if they lock onto you? What is that? There are 3 cats. 3 cats. Too many cats. Oh. Oh. What do I have to do to burst counter that move, game? Just tell me. Just fucking tell me, man. Just tell me. Oh, even when I get the fucking burst counter, it still screws me. That was a dick move, game. You know what? If you're gonna cast magic, I might fucking do the same thing, homie. You're gonna fucking disrespect me? I'm gonna disrespect you. Shit. Oh shit. Oh god. I'll kill you with magic. Yeah, we'll see what happens here. He might be dead already. Usually when they say, yeah, he's dead already. I can't save him. He's gonna be a goo pile. Oh, never mind.
Yo, 秀の字。いつもながら見事だな。さあ、光秀を倒しに行くぞ。あ？どうした？なんだよその顔。おれ！汚い真似を！光秀様を頼む。おい、本当に行くのか？
我らを口封じのため抹殺する。それがお主らの筋書きであろう。すでに滅びを覚悟した身。今さらお主と争う気はない。信長様の命を奪ったのは重き大義を果たすため。世は調和の上に成り立つ。乱れては万物が滅びよう。奪った主君の命も、そして共に滅びゆく我が命も、所詮は調和のうちに収まるひとかけら。淵を敷きは闇に潜みし邪悪の目。あとはお主の意に任せよう。お主、藤吉郎とは異なる道を行くか。
まずは逃げるが勝ちかもね。
三河の家康殿を頼りましょ
う。何遠慮してんの？行くわよ、一緒に。
Genbu! New area! You know Tokugawa Ieyasu of Mikawa, I trust. He was a trusted friend of the dear deceased Lord Nobunaga. You fought alongside him at Anagawa, in fact. According to this message, he's being pursued by Tokichiro and is unable to escape back to safe territory. Do you think you could help Lord Ieyasu's forces make their way towards Iga? To shake off any pursuers, it's better for you to head out discreetly from here alone. And don't worry about me. I'll be fine. I'll see you again on the other side. Sweet. What does this one do? Oh, what? Dude, that's awesome. Costs 8 anima. My guardian spirit can now have three cores. And I got new shifting skills unlocked. Oh shit, we got another. Clear the Aberrant Mage in Dawn. Is that where we're in Dawn right now? Where is the Aberrant Mage? Is it this one? No. Oh, is it this? Yeah. Defeat an Onmyo Mage 10 times or more. Well, shit. I think this is the first mission that had Onmyo Mages in them. So that's going to be a bit of a bummer. You decide to get this and you're considering it. You need to play Nioh 1 first. Need? No. What I would say is that I did play Nioh 1 first. And here are the 2 things that I took away from my time with Nioh 1. Number 1, Nioh 1 has a simpler and less complex combat system. There are a couple of unique additions to Nioh 2 that they layer on top of every single existing mechanic from Nioh 1. So everything that is in Nioh 1 is in this game, and then they added more stuff to the combat system on top of all of the same stuff. So playing Nioh 1 first gives you a really good opportunity to get some affinity for the base mechanics of the 2 games, so that when Nioh 2 comes, it doesn't feel like quite as much of a hurdle or a learning curve to get adjusted to the new stuff that they add on top of it. The second thing is, Nioh 2 is technically a prequel to Nioh 1. So if you don't play Nioh 1 first, you're not technically missing anything by jumping straight into Nioh 2, but since this is a prequel, it's setting up a lot of stuff that happens that you can kind of like cross-reference from playing Nioh 1 first. You're like, ah, I see. This explains how that thing happened in Nioh 1. You could make an argument that that means you should play Nioh 2 first and then play Nioh 1. But I would make the argument that Nioh 1, actually a pretty short game, and if it gives you that opportunity to get like a really solid grasp on how to use low, mid, and high stances and get comfortable with a couple of weapon types and learn how the gear system works, without some of the extra systems that they add in Nioh 2, I would do it. But this game is you could totally just play it on its own if you want, and I wouldn't begrudge anybody who chose to do that either. So it's honestly up to you, but I think there are some pros to playing Nioh 1 first, and the only con is, well, you have to play more Nioh, which isn't even really a con because they're both fun games. So Cat's fucking playing with something again. Oh, you can tap into that more than once? Can I do that with the one that boosts? There's one that does that for Omnio magic, I think. Oh yeah, this one. No, you can't go into this one more than I already have. It's maxed. Shoot. Shucky darns. That's okay. That's okay. I'm guessing we didn't magically get new equipment that's super baller just by being that boss. Still haven't managed to pull down an epic Kohoku Master's Waistguard. Dang. Dang, dude. Or boots, for that matter. None boots. Fair enough. Just thought I would check. Well, oh, we should do hut stuff too, shouldn't we? We definitely have the new boss illustration. Ryomen Sukuna. Two demons, red and blue, who had joined at their backs. Said to first materialize during the rule of Emperor Nintoku in Hida Province. A man named Takafuru Kuma, who was famous for his heroism, was dispatched to defeat Ryomen Sukuna and succeeded. The Ryomen Sukuna on Mount Tenno was once Saito Toshimitsu, who excelled at both martial combat and Onmyo magic. That's the only new one in there. We got Gambu! Wait, there's more. Does the protagonist have new stuff? No. What did I miss? Oh. Gotcha. Genbu. Hermit's hut. Wait, hanging scrolls? I need some. Yeah, I didn't do enough during those missions that I did to increase my Way of the Ninja. Man, I'm bummed that I haven't defeated an Onmyo Mage 10 times yet. So that I could have that mission unlocked so I could do it and unlock this one. Maybe this is one that we'll leave for later. We'll come back to it. I won't do it now. I'll do it later. We have to fight more at some point, right? We have to fight more Onmyo Mages at some point. Let's just see what cutscene we have in store for us here. No foul play was beneath Hideyoshi in the power struggle that ensued after Nobunaga's death. Those he considered enemies were dealt with in the cruelest, most unforgiving of ways. Hanzo? What's up, bud?
秀千代殿だったとは流行りすぎたようだ。徳川が家臣、服部半蔵にござる。
Was Hanzo a spear boy in
ここはまだ
one?
敵地。我らは
Alright, thanks for stopping by. It was a great conversation. Have a good night, man.
時は稼げた。まずはこの場を離れようぞ。
我ら逃げ玉と同じ気配がするの。
Yeah, I don't know if you remember this from Nioh 1, but he thinks it's just a clock. Don't let my cats break my stuff. I'll try not to.
そして怨念より生まれ人を喰らう新玉。この二つの均衡をなくしては 世にあるすべての生は成り立たん。長き戦乱で怨念が募り、新たまばかりが勢いを増しておる。このままでは均衡は崩れてしまう。天下太平がために戦う徳川に力を貸すがよい。案ずるな。わしがついてやろう。
Yeah, you probably don't remember this small point from Nioh 1, but when we first meet Hattori Hanzo, when we first meet Hanzo, he does the same exact thing in Nioh 1. We don't understand it, but basically, he can't see Nekomata. He doesn't realize there's a Nigitama in the little pocket watch that he keeps. Because he doesn't have like the spirit sight. Well, he didn't in Nioh 1. His statement just now kind of makes it seem like maybe he does, which makes me wonder how he lost it. But like he can't see spirits in Nioh 1 and does the same thing. He didn't actually have a Katniss shirt. No. That's what we see. That's what the protagonist sees. He just has a pocket watch. Or some sort of like small clock.
我ら伊賀衆が手を配り、家康様は無事に三河へ戻られた。しかし、徳川が陣立てを整えるのはまだ先になろう。藤吉郎に対抗した織田の旧臣たちはことごとく敗れ、ついに柴田勝家殿も劣勢に追い込まれておる。そこで徳川に代わり勝家殿を助けてもらいたい。勝家殿の居城は北の省。ここ伊賀より山を越え近江の北へ向かうがよい。勝家殿、そしてお市殿を救えるのはお主のみだ。
Oh, this one's called Twilight. It's ominous. Oh, interesting. It doesn't show the end year. That's odd. What is the 70 in the bottom right corner of that view? I don't think I've ever seen that before. Oh, there's one. Amano Hashidate. It's a sandbar that is considered one of the 3 views of Japan. A collection of Japan's most celebrated sites. In the Japanese creation myth, it is said to be the heavenly bridge that allowed Izanami and Izanagi to descend from the heavens to the earth. Oh boy. Well, I'm cheating a little bit. We didn't quite get like a full 3 hours in tonight, but I'm yawning pretty bad now. It might just be bedtime before we try to tackle another main mission. We'll save this for Tuesday, I think. We'll start off the Twilight era with the main mission right away. Because I think I'm all besides that one title I just got, which I guess oh yeah, it did give me a point, so. There. So we're all caught up and ready to go. Tomorrow is Hades. I may start a little early tomorrow just to play more, and we'll probably go late tomorrow as well, just to try to put some real mileage in on that game. We're doing multi-heat runs, hopefully. And Sunday is the start of the finale. Well, more of the finale chapter of Yakuza 5. And Monday is Dark Cloud 2, and then we're back to this on Tuesday. So that is the plan. I appreciate you guys watching tonight. I hope that you enjoyed. We made good progress. I can't be disappointed. So, yeah. I think we're getting close to being done with the main story of this game, and then we'll hit the DLC, and then we'll be on to Leo's request. So, have a good rest of your night, and I will see you guys later.